Okay, good early evening, everyone. Calling to order the El Monte City School District Board of Education meeting for Monday, August 21st, 2023, starting at 5:05 p.m. We will begin with roll call, starting with Ms. Cobian,
Present.
Ms. Flores,
Present.
Ms. Rivas,
Present.
Mr. Segris,
Present.
and Mendez Garcia present. Okay, we will stand for today's flag salute. Put your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome back, everyone, from our summer vacation break. I hope everyone had a restful summer break, and I know this weekend was Mother Nature forced us to also enjoy to relax on Sunday. Okay, and so we're going to begin tonight's meeting with communications. We do have 2 public comments. I'm going to first call up Joe Moe.
And I just start talking to you about whatever?
You
Okay.
can start.
Okay. I was a teacher in the school district for 38 years, and in 2010 I retired. And now I'm president of our local chapter of Iota Omicron, which is called Delta Kappa Gamma Society International for Women in Leadership. And so what we do is to come back and help back our school district and our teachers, like we've been giving the bags for the new teachers and things like that. But this year, when I met with Mary Bell and asked what she needed, she told us about the homeless, because we found out from LACO in February that there was 57,000 homeless in LA County of students. And I didn't realize, and she told us 1,600. So then it was like, okay, we had started a Snuggle Up and Read program because we found that the children had no one to read to. So the idea was to give them a stuffed toy and they would read to that. So we had the books and the blankets, things like that. But it was so overwhelming. I went to the Boy Scout Council, because I'm very involved in scouting, and asked if we could do a dual project. So that, because it was so overwhelming, and most of us are older ladies, to package all this, and we were able to do it all in 4 days. So I want to let you guys know that if you were in the school district in the 80s, and you were a student here, we did a program where we would brush our teeth every day. Do you remember that one, David? And we had these floss men, but it was all provided by Dr. Andrew Wong, which is Jeremy's great uncle. And then he will actually put together a mobile dental office where he would go to every school and help fix their teeth or whatever they needed. Then, if you remember that little triangle of land on Santa Anita and Valley, there was a dental office there. He starts that dental office. He has now passed away. But it's kind of unusual is that we used to have an assembly, and Jeremy's uncle, Stanton, made marionettes. And then the students at SC would come and teach our students, I don't know if you remember that, how to brush their teeth, because we did it every day. And he picked up the cost. So this school district has had a big connection with this family. So Jeremy, you want to come up? Oh, yeah, you're in your uniform. So I've known Jeremy's family for a long time. And so when I found out, if you're ready to do your Eagle project, this could be, and I had to ask council, could we do something together? Because it's not usually you do this. But because it was so overwhelming and so big, we did half and he did half. So you want to explain, Jeremy?
Okay.
Next up, Jeremy Wong.
Yay! Yeah, so as my Aunt Jomo said, I'm Jeremy Wong. I'm a homeschooled senior, and I'm also a Star Scout in my troop, or Life Scout now, in my troop 373. I wanted to thank you guys for this amazing opportunity that I had, the opportunity to provide these little care packages for a little bit over a few of the transient youth inside the El Monte School District. I'm really thankful, and I think that all the scouts and all my friends who helped me out really got to experience what it's like to help out the community, and I really hope that I can make an impact on the whole school district. So if you wanted to see what's inside of this little care package,
You
here.
can take it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's we fundraised to get a little blanket that they could use. Most of them are 50 by 60 inches for them to snuggle up a little bit and stay warm. This essential oil business, they donated an emergency hygiene kit. Inside the hygiene kit, they have little face towels. They have a toothbrush. They have oil that's really good just in terms of cleansing and renewing stuff called tea tree oil. They have shampoo, conditioner, and they have some sanitizing wipes, kind of like Wipies, but a little bit more natural. Also inside of here, they had stuffed animals for the little kids. They can put on their backpacks or they go hold them for like the little preschoolers. And then also provided by you guys was a book, depending on each grade. And I want to thank you for all that you guys have done for these resources and also for the opportunity to let me help you guys pack. I think it went very smoothly, although it was a little bit rushed. It was executed very well by God's grace. So thank you so much. And if you guys want to see yourself, I can bring it up and you guys can pass it around. Yeah.
You can give it to the superintendent. That's for you guys to keep.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Wonderful.
Right, do we have any written communications?
No written communication has come forward.
Okay, well, next is cabinet reports. Excited to see all the things that have happened during the summer.
President Mendez and governing board members, welcome back. Just to repeat what you said earlier, we had a little bit of a hiatus with the summer, but here we are. It feels like we didn't leave. I think we've all just really stepped back into this wonderful work. And this evening we have a pretty extensive presentation just to fill you in on all the things that have happened since we last gathered in June. A couple of more recent events such as our Welcome Back breakfast and first day of school. But nonetheless, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Herrera so that he can kick off the presentation. And if I can just speak a little bit out of turn, I do want to thank Joe and Jeremy for coordinating such a wonderful event. Thank you. I was able to go to the Jeff Seymour Family Center and see it in action. And the energy was wonderful. And there's nothing better than community coming together to support communities. So we are forever grateful for what you did for our students. Thank you. Mr. Herrera.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Garcia. So the first item up there is the state budget, right? We adopt our budget in June each year based off of the May revision. And over the summer, Governor Newsom signs the state budget and officially enacts the state budget into law. So that happened July 10th, I believe, is when Governor Newsom signed the state budget. A bit of good news in comparison to the May revision, although overall it's still not as good as what was promised to us when the budget was signed in the summer of 2022. So although the budget was signed in the summer of 2022 for the 22-23 fiscal year and funds were promised to school districts across the state of California, at the May revision there was reductions that were presented. They amounted to about $6 million of revenue reductions to Monte City School District. The final budget that was signed over the summer still has reductions of $2.2 million, but it's better than a $6 million reduction to our revenue. So that's going to impact your arts, music, instructional materials block grant and your learning recovery block grant. So it's not, the news could be better, but it's overall still better news than what was presented at the May revise. And as the fiscal year closed out, CalPERS and CalSTRS had positive returns. They didn't meet their 7% return on their investment targets. CalSTRS came in at 6.3%. CalPERS came in at 5.8%. Although that's not the best news because they didn't hit their investment target. It's still better news than the year before when they generated negative returns. I think CalPERS and STRS came in at about a negative 6% return year over year when we looked at the 21-22 fiscal year. So it's better news, and the economy is chugging along. As we move on to the next slide and look at school facilities, our custodial team does a wonderful job over the summer, making sure our schools are ready for the first day of school. They make sure that we have a comprehensive cleaning program, servicing all of our AC units, making sure that our grounds are ready to go for the first day of school, making sure that all the maintenance and repairs and work orders get knocked out over the summer. So overall, everything went well over the summer. The schools were well prepared for the first day of school. And as we move on to the next slide, you'll see some of the other work that they were doing was preparing for our welcome back event at Durfee Day, right? So that's a big undertaking that our facilities, our IT team, and a lot of other hands help in making sure it's a smooth event that goes on. And just another day or another weekend, another week in the day of facilities, right? We swiftly transitioned from near triple-digit temperatures and putting out fires with our ACs to then preparing for the hurricane that was coming. So the team did a wonderful job making sure that gutters were cleared out, making sure that we had a team working over the weekend to inspect all of our campuses. This morning, as early as 5 a.m., we had maintenance staff going to the schools, assisting custodians to inspect classrooms to see if there was any damage overnight. And so we had a lot of proactive measures that we put in place. And so far, everything went smoothly, right? So we had a good first day of school, a good second day of school, and a good third day of school, right? So we're happy about that. One of the big projects that we embarked on over the summer was we kicked off the Cortada Early Childhood Modernization Project. So far, what we have done is demolish the 6 portable classrooms, right? And you'll see that picture in the middle, right? So if you swing by Cortada, you'll see there's a big empty space there, and we're in the final stages of getting DSA approval. Once that comes in the next 6 months or so, we'll finalize the 4 new classrooms and playground that will go there. That will be servicing our early Head Start and our Head Start students. And the maintenance team did a wonderful job. Although they didn't demolish the classrooms, we had to contract that work out. They did paint the entire school. Some of the other classrooms got new LED lighting that they installed, new windows, and they did a lot on that campus to improve the overall campus look of the Cortada School. And there's more to come. So hopefully in the next 6 months, we'll get this project wrapped up and we'll have a nice ribbon cutting ceremony. And some good news from the state of California. We applied for this grant, the CAL FIRE grant, with the help of Active SGV and Trust for Public Land. It's a $2 million grant that we requested per school. We were strategic in the 3 schools that we selected: Cortada School, Gidley School, and Sherpshire School. If awarded, the funds can be used to introduce more green space onto our campuses and provide outdoor learning opportunities for students. And some good news as we move on to the next slide. It's not 100% official, but we got a tentative intent to award letter from the state of California. And so we're hopeful that we will get funded at $6 million or about $2 million per school. And it's an exciting opportunity for these 3 schools, and we'll make sure that as we get more details, we'll share it with the board, with the community, and make sure that all these improvements happen in coordination with our facility master plan.
Good evening, Dr. Mendez-Garcia. Sorry, Mrs. Mendez-Garcia and Governing Board. I hope you had a wonderful summer. It has definitely been a busy summer for us and an exciting time. So over the summer, we had our enrichment program for over 1,500 students, and they participated in our STEAM and musical theater summer programs, exploring engineering concepts that included how to design shelters, how to design hand pollinators, windmills, parachutes, bridges, safety helmets, and a lot more. Students also performed in a variety of musical theater opportunities, including Winnie the Pooh and The Jungle Book, Annie, and Frozen. And there was lots of fun to be had. Our migrant ed students had a fabulous summer, starting at Frank Wright, that was scheduled during our summer programming, where they participated in a Scholastic Camp Lit program that focuses on reading and writing. And then Migrant Ed also partners with Windtree Education, and so students were able to explore oceanography, astronomy, cooking, and mechtronics, which is building with Legos. Then they were able to participate in a partnership with Cal Poly Pomona in STEAM USA and Disney Imagination Campus, where they learned about physics and then took a trip to Disneyland's Imagination Campus. And then they spent a couple of days at Science at Sea at Point Fermin Outdoor Education Center in San Pedro, and then Outdoor Science Camp at Creek Outdoor Education Center in La Cañada. So they had a very busy summer, packed with lots of amazing opportunities for learning and fun. Our enrichment program also included our partners with Aspire, partnership with Aspire and Kids Campus, and they had enrichment that include the use of drones, 3D printing, gardening, career exploration, social emotional learning, and art. Again, that partnership with Windtree really helps support our programs, and so they focused and explored art and electricity, cooking, and again, Mechatronics. And they took some wonderful study trips to the Science Center, Off the Wall Zone, which is a really fun park for them to, or it's kind of like a Dave and Buster's, but even bigger. And River Street Ranch, which is, has animals and a lot of exploration there. The LA Zoo and some ice skating. And they were treated to some tutoring as well over the summer. And then in our partnership with Rio Hondo College, some of our students attended the Career Exploration Summer Camp in July. And this exposed our students to careers in various industry sectors. Students rotated through modules that covered communications and health sciences and music technologies, and it was all hands-on activities. Our teachers were also very busy over the summer. They had a variety of professional development opportunities to choose from, and they participated in things such as cognitively guided instruction, small group instruction in math and language arts, a refocus back on our math plan, some guided language acquisition design, or Project GLAD, through the Orange County Department of Education, a review of our Twig Science, which is our newest adoption. Teachers needed some time to really get to know Twig, and so we brought them back for some professional development, and also had some science teacher work groups so that they could work together and plan out their year. And additionally, we had STEAM with Lego Education, and we had, I think the one I saw the most fun happening in was the art workshop. Dr. Garcia and I were able to stop by, and teachers were having a great time painting and having fun. We also had a few sessions on CPI, or Crisis Prevention Intervention, and challenging behaviors, how to prevent, reduce, and replace to support classroom management. We are excited to get started with our expanded learning opportunities again this summer, and we have our returning partners of Windtree, our Satay Academy, which was very well loved, and so that's being spread to more school sites. We are excited about our partnership with Parks and Rec, and we'll have a variety of activities for students to participate in, bringing back those activities that were here long ago, including cheer, which I know a lot of people are excited about, Action Lanes Bowling, and then our golf partnership as well. And we have some new partners, and this is just a few. We are still exploring more partnerships throughout the year. But we have Break and Rise breakdance instruction. This is actually a former student from our school district that will be providing this at Clemenson and Gidley, so we're really excited about that. I think Mr. Sollenbach's going to go join in on the dance. We have our partnership back with Mariachi Heritage Society, and this will be at all of our sites through a rotation. And then some career exploration through Pathful Inc. And this will happen with our Aspire students, where students in grades 4 through 8 will be able to explore various career paths, and they'll get to meet and network with industry professionals via virtual speaking and engagements. And we're really excited about the Youth Cinema Project, where students will learn the skill of filmmaking, screenwriting, casting, and other film-related skills. Something we're very excited about and proud of is our plan for the first 10 days, which actually started today. The first 2 days of school actually were set aside for teachers to get to know students, lay the foundation, go over routines and procedures. And then starting today, we started the first 10 days of instruction. And the reason that we did this is because we did hear from our teachers last year and our staff that our students really needed support along the lines of social emotional support and mental health. And so we wanted to start a strong foundation for relationships and social emotional support between our staff and our students. Students will be receiving lessons from Second Step that will touch on understanding emotions, self-regulations, bullying. The first 8 to 10 days of the Leader in Me curriculum that focuses on the 7 habits and goal setting and the classroom mission statement. Digital citizenship, this is a really good time to do this, to lay that foundation and really practice online safety and going over what online bullying looks like. And then the first 10 to 20 days of our math and language arts plans are also starting this week. We have a partnership with our Parks and Rec to actually support these first 10 days through themed activities. So they'll spend a day at every school site, and their theme is Inside Out from Pixar. And so they have various activities planned for students that focus on the different emotions. And then, in addition to that, every site administrator created plans for how they're welcoming back their staff, their students, their families to help them feel connected to the school site. Finally, one more slide. We're really excited about a partnership that we have with Hazel Health that will partner with schools to provide mental health care to help students feel better and get back into their routines in the classroom and back to learning. This will be offered at all 14 of our school sites and the Opportunity Program. It takes place in a virtual format. Each student will that is referred for this will get 6 to 8 sessions, which are confidential. Hazel Health themselves will connect family with community resources if the student requires additional support after those 8 sessions. And then they will follow up with the families as well, just to ensure that all is going well, or if they need connection with other community resources, they will help to do that as well.
Well, good evening, everyone. Just wanted to kind of give you a brief update in regards to what personnel has been doing over the summer. So we had the pleasure of welcoming new teachers and certificated staff. And when we say new, they're new in that role. A few of them actually were ISSs with us or held previous roles. But for the most part, we had 27 certificated employees that came to our new teacher and new certificated employee orientations. And so you see the bottom picture on the left-hand side is a picture of them right there, just celebrating one of the days when we got together. I'm pleased to share that we were able to start the year fully staffed with in all of our certificated positions, and I say that as a gratitude to the staff in my department. They worked hard over the summer ensuring that we posted positions on time. We were able to get in contact with individuals, get them in quickly, and take them through the onboarding process, which sometimes can take a week to go through. And so the dedicated staff in the personnel office was able to make all this happen to ensure that our first day of school meant every single position was full. And I brag a little bit and say that in talking with some of my colleagues across the San Gabriel Valley, that's not always the case. So we're pleased with that. We're finalizing just a few classified positions, and that entails just making sure they pass through the fingerprinting process, or potentially if it's a promotional move for our classified staff, which means they're already with us, but maybe they're being offered a position that's in a higher ranking. We always try to set up a transition plan, so that way there's a little bit of a cross between them and we don't have one empty position and there's a little bit of training that goes on. So we're in a final process of that. We held our supervision assistant playground safety training this year, where we brought them in, and we had a gentleman from Keenan, which is one of our liability carriers, go over playground safety, and then we covered a few other mandated requirements with them. And then just to share, over the course of the summer, well, probably spring and summer, just in preparation for the start of the school year, we had approximately 160 employees that we processed in preparation for that. And that's either onboarding and hiring completely new people to the El Monte City School District family, or promotional aspects where it entailed, the process of making sure that we move them up, processing all transactions and so on. And so we're pleased that we're able to do that and make sure that we had a very smooth start to our very first day of school. And it wouldn't be personnel without a COVID update. I anticipate not really having to do very many COVID updates this year, but starting the year, I just wanted to make sure that I just refreshed us with where we're at. So obviously, we're still under some guidance through the Los Angeles County Public Health Department, and also through Cal OSHA through their emergency order still. We still are required that if someone tests positive, that they isolate, and the changes have been now where they isolate for the 5 days as opposed to the full 10. They can come out as long as they're fever-free and they reduce symptoms and they wear a mask through day 10. Our close contacts can still remain on our sites unless they begin to develop symptoms. The testing requirements for close contacts is now optional, but we always recommend it, and that goes to the last bullet there where we've just received a couple large pallets of COVID tests. So the county was offering that, and I jumped on it and made sure we had some COVID tests in stock, so that way we can offer to our close contacts, and then just have them for just routine testing as well. And then in terms of notifications, we're still required to send our notifications to our school sites when there is a positive test or a positive case on campus, and that's a Cal OSHA. I haven't heard anything in regards to that changing, so we just anticipate it will remain the same. I think we're getting to the point now where rather than trying to identify specific people at a site, we're probably going to get to the point where we just send out a notice through the entire district and just identify the site on there and then go from there. But I will share with you, as we've always done, we still try to personally contact all close contacts, which again, I think doesn't happen anywhere. And, they just do the random notifications now where we're still trying to reach out and kind of guide people on what they need to do because we want to make sure that they're protecting themselves.
Thank you, Mr. Sollenbach. That brings me to my portion. And so I'm eager to kick off my slides with unveiling of our theme. We shared it with our staff at the Welcome Back Breakfast. Last year, our theme was Together We Rise, and it really spoke to us every single day, because we were coming out of those dark days of the pandemic and COVID, and there was a lot of rebuilding and there was a lot of moving things forward, and so it just captured where we were. And so the pressure was on to come up with a theme that could inspire, motivate, bring perspective, and really ground us every single day. And so we landed on educate, elevate, and empower. 3 words. Educate speaks to our purpose, our mission. We're here to educate our children, and we just need to double down on basics. We know what works, and we know what we need to pull through. Elevate is giving all of us the permission to really eliminate the things that haven't worked and take it to the next level. Everything that we did, that we've done, has taken us to this moment of time. But we're at a crossroads, and so we know that in order for us to move forward, we really need to be very thoughtful about how we take education to the next level. And so this is about making sure that everyone feels empowered to do the work that they need to do and do it freely. And lastly, empower is what we're all aiming for. We want our families to be empowered. We want our students to be empowered. We want staff to be empowered. At the end of the day, we know empowerment is about fulfillment, and we want everyone to be connected to this work. And so educate, elevate, empower. You're going to hear us talking about this throughout the year. And again, we hope that throughout the year, it really helps to ground where we are and where we need to be by the end of the year. So with that, we did have our Welcome Back Breakfast last Thursday. Over 1,100 of our team members were in attendance. It was quite the scene. We had some schools coordinated in colors. There was some sound devices there. It was a rowdy bunch, but all in good fun, just to bring back that spirit of we're back and we're here together and we're ready to do the work. We had the pleasure of inviting Dr. Ron Powell back, and as you recall, he was our keynote speaker for PD September of 2019, right before the pandemic. Our theme that year was about relationships, and so we brought him in to really cement the idea that, there's brain research behind how you connect with people. We know that in our district, people do a great job of taking care of each other, of connecting, but we wanted to tie it in even more so with that brain research. And so Dr. Powell laid a wonderful foundation. As you know, a few months later, we closed down, and we felt like a lot of the things that he shared with us really carried us through. Last year, we were struggling because we know that just kids were having a hard time adjusting, adapting. Our staff was really trying to meet the moment. And so Dr. Pinedo reached out to Dr. Powell and said, Dr. Powell, what is the latest research? What is it that, is there any findings on where kids are? And he said, absolutely. And so we knew then that he was the right person. And so in a nutshell, what he described is whereas all of us have the ability to go home and self-regulate, or not even to go home, but to self-regulate when we're dealing with emotions and a lot of things that can, just take over our well-being. Our kids have not developed that resilience. And the pandemic really staggered that growth that would happen with everyday situations when they're, in social settings. And so our kids came back in fight and flight mode, right? And so the idea that we know how to, when we go home, be able to talk ourselves into a better tomorrow, our kids didn't have the opportunities throughout the pandemic to develop those coping skills. And so Dr. Powell, brought in that brain research that's super important. And then he left us with a really wonderful list that, if you don't mind, I will share. He encouraged us to go positive, always be the first ones to just start off on a positive note. The second is to go first, not wait for anyone to initiate that positivity, but for us to do it relentlessly. Be the list, and it was a list of words that help us feel connected, but at the center of that was trustworthy. When we trust people, that makes all the difference, and everything else comes with that. Meet their needs. Always go, where the kids are, where the needs are, and be there. All in, we have to be there 100% every step of the way in order for this to work and to keep doing it, right? Just that relentless approach. And so we appreciated what he left us with. We appreciated the hour that he spent with us because it really ties in our theme. It ties in the work that we're doing in the first 10 days, and it ties in, the work that lies ahead for the El Monte City School District. I do want to say that it was an undertaking. Last year we were back, but we still divided ourselves into two big spaces, because we wanted to create an opportunity for people to feel safe. And we've grown as a district. And so I do want to give a big shout out to our facilities and our IT team who were able to put that all together. And you see them there smiling. I mean, it was an endeavor. And Robert Dasmati, who doesn't get a lot of credit, but he's always there behind the scenes, and was making sure that all the T's were crossed and details were handled. So just a big kudos to our entire nutrition staff, facilities, maintenance, IT, and Robert. Another fun thing that we started this year, and I say started because we're bringing this dream team, we're pulling it through all the way, is we created a dream team. And the idea was to simply ask people, our staff members, what is it that would put a smile on your face to kick off the year? And so it was a Google form. People submitted comments, and you would think that somebody would have said, hey, I want a car, or I want something, really fancy. And there was none of that. I'm sure those wishes are out there. So please, I'm not negating. The majority of the wishes were people wishing things for colleagues and different groups throughout the district. And then they were asking for things that can enhance their classrooms. I mean, it was so fun to read through that list. And so that morning, the Dream Team had on their special shirts, and they were walking up to people with bags that Edna coordinated. Edna was working through the weekend to make sure that deliveries were taking place and things were packed up. And then the Dream Team was delivering that morning. Lots of books, lots of supplies, lots of materials for calming corners, just a wonderful, wonderful list of things that we were able to gift. And the goal is we're going to continue granting some of these wishes throughout the first 10 days so that we can continue to just add that spark to our staff's day. Lots of fun, and believe it or not, we're already planning for next year. I know Mr. Herrera talked about a grant that we just received, and this is another grant that Almani City School District just received, and I'm really excited about this. $10 million allocation by the Los Angeles County Safe Clean Water Program for Norwood. And so, as you recall, we did a series of engagement meetings, just checking in with the community. They came back, they love the idea of a green space at Norwood. And so now the real planning begins. So based on those community planning meetings, we were able to put together a really strong funding proposal. And so now we get to come back and really design something that meets the needs. The vision is to create a 0 to 5 hub, creating a space for our little ones to really, cement their roots in this community and have the opportunity to explore and just, play freely, and in a designated space. And so I really look forward to the opportunity to engaging the board on the next steps, because we still have our facilities there. And I think it's going to be a beautiful partnership, right, to have this green space that matches the need, that meets the needs for kids, as well as the ability for us to design quality programming to meet community of families' needs. So start thinking about, in the spirit of Dream Team's Magic Wand status, bibbidi bobbidi boo, because we're going to make really wonderful things happen for our 0 to 5 population. And then this is just a throwback to our Tech Trek program. We were able to bring our Tech Trek recipients to, I believe, one of the last board meetings to present them. And they had the opportunity to go back and, or not to go back, but to explore Tech Trek. And it was phenomenal. And so I know that there was a hiatus because of the pandemic. But our 13th, 7th grade girls were able to just jump in, and the experiences that they were able to have were extraordinary. And so I want to highlight this program as a gesture for the things that are to come. We're going to continue with Tech Trek, but the importance of STEAM education in our district is extremely important, and the commitment to continue funding programs, opportunities, and experiences, especially for girls, is really important as well. Back to school nights. We had a couple of back to school nights last week. A couple of our three of our schools actually having them the day before school started as a way to welcome families back and just ease into, the first day nerves, so to speak. And then this week on Wednesday and Thursday, we have the big bulk of back to school nights at some of our other schools. Really looking forward to the opportunity of welcoming all of our families back and making them feel connected. Just as we've done in years past, there's going to be different resources available so that families are connected to services and opportunities to connect with the community. And then lastly, I don't think we can add enough pictures to really capture the spirit of the first day of school. But if there's one word that you would ask me to describe, the sentiment, it was smiles. And so it was just so fun to visit all the schools on that first day. We zipped around and we saw smiles from beginning to end. Just really happy to be back. Our kids were so excited. Our families were excited. Our staff was just wonderfully prepared and excited to meet our kids. And it was just a great day. I'm excited about the 10-day plan and how that's just going to continue fostering those relationships. We basically have told staff, of course, the standards and the education is important, but first and foremost, we're going to do what we do best in this district, and is connect with one another. And so, again, that permission to elevate the work in a way that just allows them to connect with all of our students and families. At the end of the day, we're all going to be empowered. Any questions?
I'm going to say I take it back. I don't think this district took a break during summer. Right? Just the amazing work that was being done.
Thank you.
Anyone? Any questions? Okay, thank you. And we look forward to see all the different activities that our students are going to be participating in, and we really enjoy these presentations, and we want to continue to show the community all the great things Almani City School District is offering for our students, right? Again, not just academic, but really looking at the whole child and it's going to tie into all the work we're going to be doing soon with our plan and our vision. So thank you so much for that. Really tying in on what our focus is just making sure that our students leave here well-rounded, knowing what their strengths are. That was something that we really talked about, that profile, that when our students leave, it's not just academic, but it's knowing what their strengths are, so that when they get to high school and beyond, they already have a pathway of opportunities that they've been exposed to while here in the Monte City School District. Right, next we have board member communications. We'll start off with Ms. Cobian.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the presentation and just all of the work that was done. I had the opportunity to see one of the musicals over the summer and just got to see, how joyful the kids were getting to perform, which was a lot of fun. Also wanted to, again, acknowledge Jeremy Wong and the Boy Scouts who helped to put together the bags. I was also involved as a part of the Promise Foundation, so we were able to also donate to the project as well. And it was really great to see all these different components of the community that maybe we don't necessarily think of. Some of our retired teachers who came together for several days when it was hot a few weeks ago, and we're stuffing all of these bags, and just good to know that we can get those resources to students who really need them. Also got to go and see the Back to School Resource Fair that the city of El Monte helped to host, and see students who were out there. Just a lot of excitement, I think, around the school year coming back. And also the new student welcome that happened at the Jeff Seymour Center. I really like seeing how excited some of these new students were to go meet their principals, who are all out at the site to welcome their students, as well as the community resources that we have there to make sure that our families know the things that are available to them. I also got to attend the back to school breakfast last week, which was definitely fun, exciting to see everyone together. And to celebrate the first days back. And I'm just really impressed. I got to look through, Dr. Garcia sent us the kind of the curriculum of the first 10 days, and in looking through it, just really impressed with the quality of the lessons and just the depth that I think we're going to be offering our students. I know for middle school students, every period that they have, they're going to be doing something that kind of reinforces some of the themes and promoting mental health and just that connection between students and their school and with each other. So really like that. And also just glad to be back and to really see all of the welcomes at the school. So we're sending my daughter off to school, but also at the other school sites, all of the excitement with the balloons and the pom-poms, and what a great way to welcome everybody back to a new year. So just very excited overall. So thank you.
Ms. Flores.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Want to welcome back everyone to the start of a new school year. Summer was definitely busy with some really great events, though. It was definitely nice seeing those events take place and the students, really enjoying them in their summer. I do want to thank the maintenance and facilities team this, past weekend, preparing and monitoring our school sites during the storm. So a big thank you and shout out to them. I also had a chance to go to the Back to School Resource Fair that was brought by the city of El Monte, and also enjoyed seeing all the students really excited for all the giveaways and goodies they were receiving. I had a chance to take my niece as well. And I just, I'm really looking forward to being back as well, seeing all the projects take place, especially at Cortada School, and all the activities that we have planned throughout the school year. So I look forward to it. And back to school night. Thank you.
Ms. Rivas?
Yeah, I apologize because I forgot my sunglasses, but I've got the sun in my eyes. I will say that the Welcome Back event was totally outstanding, and I've been around in education since even before 1970, and it was wonderful. The esprit de corps was there, and people coming back like they did, it was amazing. And I did take Dr. Powell's advice. I'm waving at everybody now. And I had a great experience at the park behind Arroyo High School. There's a homeless man there who is living there. And when I'm walking with my dogs, my wife is with me, and we wave to him, he almost started to cry. He said, "You're the first person that has talked to me in months." I'm thinking, oh my God, it makes a difference. The NALEO convention was absolutely wonderful. I was so astounded by the reaction I had from people from all over the United States when I was sharing the things that we do in this district. A lot of them were taking notes, and they're saying they're going back to do what we're doing, like the mariachi program, the emphasis on art, even the golf came out, and it was wonderful. One of the speakers there was Robert Kennedy Jr., who reminded us that his dad always said, never ask why, always ask why not. And I agree with that. I have been approached by the coordinator for the spelling bee for LACO, who said, yes, there's still time to get involved in the spelling bee. And she reminded me that past winners were Glendale Unified, Baldwin Park Unified, and I'd like to see our kids get a chance to be involved in that. There's a great interest in bilingual immersion in Vietnamese in our community. We have a very large population, not only in Nativity Church, but in the Adventist Church on the corner of Bryant and Peck Road. And I'm so concerned about that because I'll share with you my experience in the military. I served in the Navy, the Army, and Marines, and I served with a number of Hispanics who missed beautiful opportunities because they had never had the backup in the language that their family spoke. They were encouraged not to speak it, by the way. So I would like to see, and it's not just Vietnamese for Vietnamese-speaking children. English-speaking children can benefit greatly from that. I think that we're missing the boat by not advertising our wonderful events and things we do. For example, all of these wonderful experiences we're providing for our children. We need to let people know that, not just in social media, but in the print media too. And years ago when I attended the homeschooling program convention over in Ontario, there were so many parents there that were saying, you mean you actually teach languages in school? Dual language, yes. And these were homeschool parents who were interested. So let's promote what we do more. The outstanding programs that we have are there. And I love the 3 E's, the educate, elevate, empower. I'm going to add an E called excel. I love that. It's wonderful. Finally, I still think we should explore a nonprofit foundation, not to compete with El Monte Promise, but I'm thinking, as our business people know, there may be cuts in budget coming, and we could do backfill. I did happen to do some research on that. Monrovia USD had their nonprofit. They raised $400,000 last year. A few years ago, Pasadena City College got a grant of $30 million because they had a nonprofit. So I think it's something we could look into. And I did notice for the first time, I'll confess, that there's a timer up there that says how much time you're speaking. I saw that when the people were sharing. That's a great idea. And in closing, I am very impressed with what our district does. And trust me, there were people from all over the United States that were saying, you're doing all those things? Yes. And they're saying, we better do those too. Thank you.
Ms. Rivas?
Thank you. Well, welcome back to everybody, and thank you so much, Cabinet, for sharing your reports, and thank you to you and your teams for all the work you did this summer, and to Jomo and Jeremy Wong for coming and speaking with us. I know they've stepped out already, but thank you to them for coming and sharing the wonderful work that they have done on behalf of our kids as well. So this year was my 17th for my kids in this district, my 17th back to school, first day of school, and my last in the EMCSD as a mom. So my youngest is in 8th grade, so it was a kind of a big first day of school moment for us, and I'm so grateful for the happy day that he had and the way he came back full of smiles. Like you said, Dr. Garcia, that was the theme of the day, and I'm thankful for that as a mom in the district and the many first days of schools that I was recalling that day. So grateful for the good work that's ahead, that everybody is geared up for. There's just so much anticipation and positivity among our teachers and our staff, and looking forward to a great year.
Thank you. Mr. Seegers reminded me, because yeah, summer was very busy. I was also back to work a few weeks ago, getting ready for my school year to begin. Along with Mr. Seegers, I attended NALEO, and I attended different sessions, right? They have like an educational track, and they have like one more like for city council or for housing. So I kind of challenged myself with going to just different sessions I wouldn't normally go to. And one of them was about emergency preparedness with flooding. And it was a coincidence that I went because an old classmate of mine from college is actually a supervisor from Monterey County. And he himself and other colleagues did a presentation about how that area is not known for flooding, but they're having now these flash floods, and about how they've responded to it. And so really connecting with, because of climate change, you really just don't know. Like a lot of times we prepare for earthquake awareness, but just realizing that there's going to be situations that we're going to be running into with more rain or with drought, and we really just have to be prepared for all these different situations. And then just realizing too, like, you don't realize right until it happens, like the different things that can occur from it that weren't aware of, right, on how different entities will respond or not respond in these situations, and how then it impacts communities, especially in Monterey County, right, farm workers, right, and how they don't have home insurance to then rebuild their houses and so on. So I attended that one. That was just really great. Really speaks to what we're having to now face. And then another one was on housing, and what I liked about it is they really challenged even school board members the importance of advocacy, really advocating to your city council at the state level, federal level, about the importance of housing and how you can really be creative. There's just thinking outside of the box when it comes to housing, right? And we really need to start doing that. So again, great opportunity, and was able to, again, see different perspectives. And another one on top of my head, I went to one about like Puerto Rico, right? And just learning about their government situation and the economy. And again, all of that really trickles down to what then our students in our community and our nation is dealing with in different aspects. Second item, I want to thank everyone that worked on that 10-day plan, right? I know that was done during the summer. I'm going to assume. So thank you. So I know our TOSAs and everyone else, that is such a great plan, because so many times we're trying to fit in everything, right? We start off the school year with, okay, we need to start reviewing those basic math facts, but to know like, okay, let's just kind of pause. We know that, especially with social emotional health, you really need to take the time and create that structure and that covered time to really just be like, no, this is what we're going to focus on. Because during the school day, teachers are really trying, it's like you're on a time crunch. Like, okay, now it's recess time. Now it's PE time. You're just constantly on a time crunch. And so thank you to our cabinet and to our leadership and for everyone who put that time into making that an importance. Again, always connecting to our vision and making sure that we're addressing the whole child and what the whole child and everything involved with making sure that our students are able to access what then the teachers are then instructing them on. Right. Third, welcome back. That was just so amazing. I was only able to stay for a little bit, but it put a smile on my face and empowered me and elevated me when I've been back to my job, to know what a great job the El Monte City School District is doing. And just to share, I had 2 employees, a new teacher in our district and an employee that was a sub that is now hired at another district, who just shared how special El Monte is. And they knew it, but they didn't fully realize it until they were either hired or now they're in another district, to be like, wow, what a special place El Monte City School District is, with the relationship, the support that you get as a teacher. So again, thank you to all of our staff, to Dr. Garcia and our cabinet for making that such an importance. Again, our vision for our students, but also for our staff, and making sure that we're taking into account their needs as well as a whole person employee. Thank you. Next, we're going to go into closed session. We have 2 items. Number 1, closed session items pursuant to Government Code 45956.8, conference with real property negotiators regarding 1124 Asher Street in El Monte, California, 91731, and closed session items pursuant to Government Code 54957.6 with conference with labor negotiators. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we are back at 7:06 p.m., resuming our Monty City School District Board of Education meeting. We just returned from closed session. No action was taken on item 1 and item 2. Next, we have approval of minutes. Here we have consideration of approval of minutes for the June 12, 2023 meeting. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Okay, motion by Ms. Rivas. Is there a second? Oh,
Sorry.
no, sorry. Second by Ms. Flores.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
The motion carries. All right. Next, we have the 2020-23 Williams Uniform Complaint Policy Quarter 4 Summary Report. In compliance with Education Code 60119, which covers the sufficiency of pupil textbooks and instructional materials, districts are required to hold a public hearing allowing the public the opportunity to discuss matters in regards to the sufficiency of public textbooks and instructional materials. Is there anyone who wishes to comment in regards to the sufficiency of public textbooks? Yes.
I think you're one,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, reports prior. Williams?
Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back. So we have the 22-23 Williams Uniform Complaint Policy Quarter 4 Summary Report.
Thank you, President Mendez Garcia.
Just on it today.
So as we do quarterly, we bring for the board to review the report that's submitted to the Los Angeles County Office of Education. It's required that we identify any complaints that were filed in regards to Williams areas, which are textbook availability, facilities and maintenance, and then credentialing or assignments. And so for the fourth quarter of the 22-23 school year, which is April 1st through June 30th, there were 0 complaints filed.
Thank you. Feel free to interrupt me next time if
I apologize.
Thank you, Edna, for interrupting me so politely. Okay. Now we're at public hearing regarding the sufficiency of public pupil textbooks and instructional materials for the 23-24 fiscal year. So I'm going to read it again. In compliance with Education Code 60119, which covers the sufficiency of public textbooks and instructional materials, districts are required to hold a public hearing allowing the public the opportunity to discuss matters in regards to the sufficiency of public textbooks and/or instructional materials. Now, is there anyone who wishes to comment in regards to the sufficiency of public textbooks and/or instructional materials? Let the minutes reflect that a public hearing was conducted pursuant to Education Code 60119 regarding the sufficiency of public pupil textbooks and instructional materials for the 23-24 fiscal year. Next, we will be moving on to our action and consent agenda. Are there any items board members would like to pull at this time to vote separately?
Yes, number 5.
Okay, number 5, Mr. Segrist. Okay. Do we have a motion for the action and consent agenda minus item 5?
I will move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Segrist. Are there any questions or discussion?
I just wanted to say, with regards to the school plans, just appreciate all those who put all the effort into creating and then reviewing all of them. And just, a reminder that we like to see it as a living document and, constantly being checked to make sure that our students are meeting those needs and making sure that that everyone is looking at those goals and making sure to keep their eye on that as well. Thank you.
And I would also like to thank the district for supporting our professional development through CSBA. This is our platform where we learn how to be an advocate and how to be a school board member. So thank you so much. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. All right, now item 5 by Mr. Segrist.
Yes, I would like to address that. My only question is, are these funds in an interest-bearing account? Because if they're not, then every year they go down in value. So are they in an interest-bearing account? Thank you.
Yes, we have all of the ASB accounts in banks that generate interest. And the funds, we have been working with the schools over the years to deplete the funds, right? We want the funds to be spent on the students that earn them in that year. And I'm pleased to report that we decreased our balances when we look at a year-over-year trend, right? So the fourth quarter, this is the fourth quarter of the last school year compared to the fourth quarter of the previous school year. They went down 30%. The balance still remains at $56,000, but about a third of that is the Carroll Sandwich Trust, and we're working to develop a plan for that. So if you were to take that out, it's about $40,000, which comes out to about $5 per student. But we'll continue to work with the schools to make sure we can deplete those funds further, so the funds get spent on the students that generate them.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a motion for item 5?
I move to approve item 5.
Motion by Ms. Rivas. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobian. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Now we have our action items, starting with number 1, consideration of approval to adopt resolution for 23-24 school year, starting with celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, which is September 15th through October 15th, 2023.
Thank you. President Mendez-Garcia and Governing Board, before you for your consideration this evening is Resolution 23-2401, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th. California is home to more than 3 million Hispanic students from kindergarten through 12th grade. This resolution recognizes and celebrates the rich cultural contributions, achievements, and the significant impact of Hispanic and Latino communities in our society. This year, the theme for Hispanic Heritage Month is Latinos Driving Prosperity, Power, and Progress in America.
Thank you. Is there a motion for item 1?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Ms. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Next, we have item 2, consideration of approval to adopt resolution for the 23-24 school year on sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 23-24 fiscal year.
Thank you. In order to meet the requirements of the Williams Settlement legislation, the governing board of each LEA is required to adopt a resolution stating whether each pupil in the district has sufficient textbooks or instructional materials in the 4 core subjects. For your consideration for approval is Resolution 23-2403, stating that the Almonte City School District has provided each student with sufficient textbooks and instructional materials for the 23-24 school year.
Thank you. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobian. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Next, we have item 3, consideration of approval of purchase orders.
Thank you, Board President and members of the Governing Board. Before you is the purchase order report for the month of July and June. You'll notice on this purchase order report, it's a high dollar amount of nearly $13 million. That's because we set up a lot of our blanket purchase orders for the year to make sure we have sufficient funds on these purchases to cover any necessary purchases throughout the year. So about a third of that is child nutrition related, setting up these blanket purchase orders for food supplies that we'll be buying. At the next board meeting, we'll be bringing some of the information on these contracts. We're part of a food cooperative with 30 districts in the area that the districts competitively bid out different food contracts, whether it be the bread contract or the dairy contract, whatever it may be. So $4.6 million of the $13 million on this purchase order is related to that. About half of our food purchases these days, or actually closer to 60%, is concentrated with a vendor called Gold Star Foods. They've become a little bit of a monopoly in the industry, buying up some of these smaller firms, but there's not much we can do about that, right? So another $4 million of purchase orders are related to utility vendors, our electric, our natural gas, our water, our trash, our phone bills, right? So that's the cost of doing business. And then we have another $1.6 million of purchase orders related to our facilities department to keep our schools in good repair. These are purchases and that are not out of the bond. As a reminder, when we have bond projects, we bring those separately to the board. As we wrap up our master plan, we'll be bringing those purchases forward. But this is the cost of doing business, making sure we have custodial supplies, fuel for our trucks that drive around town, contracts for trimming the trees and all the like. So that amounts to $1.6 million on this purchase order report.
Thank you. Let's see, do we have a motion for item 3 on consideration of approval of purchase
I'll
orders?
make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Seegers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion?
Only a comment. I did notice a number of local vendors and suppliers on that list. I'm really glad to see that. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, the motion carries 4-0. Next, item 4, consideration of approval to adopt resolution for the 23-24 school year on celebration of National Literacy Month in September 2023.
Thank you. Before you for your consideration is Resolution 23-2402, celebrating National Literacy Month for the month of September. National Literacy Month is dedicated to promoting and enhancing literacy skills among students and the broader community. This resolution emphasizes the importance of literacy in academic success and personal growth.
Thank you. I move to approve item 4 regarding National Literacy Month. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Seegers. Are there any questions or discussion?
Only a comment, when we promote literacy, I'm hoping that we promote the local libraries because we have a population and a lot of immigrants that confuse librería con biblioteca. I met a lot of immigrants who think they have to pay for the library, but there's so many services. They're actually online tutoring now for free from the library. They're offering special programs that are there. Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Next, we have item 5, consideration of approval of administrative appointments, assistant principal.
President Mendez Garcia and governing board members, it is my privilege this evening to introduce you to our 3 candidates that we interviewed and brought to the table, and we've already put them to work to a certain degree. And they are, I'm lumping all 3 of them together. I'll speak to them individually, but all 3 of them are exceptional candidates. They speak to the mission of the El Monte City School District. And as I see the 3 of them, I think they represent educate, elevate, and empowerment, all put together right there. So I'll begin with the recommendation for Ms. Janet Castillo. Janet came to us with a wealth of experience, having taught previously in another school system. In 2015, we were very fortunate. She became a teacher at Scherpser School. Very quickly became an EL coach. She has this extraordinary ability to connect students and teachers with literacy and strategies and just all the wonderful things that need to happen in a classroom. She has it all packaged in her head and was able to exude that wonderful magic and support teachers as an EL coach. In 2018, she became a TOSA, continued that work, specifically supporting Scherpser School. I'll give her the opportunity to speak to, who she is as a person, but she also championed many wonderful programs supporting kids. She is an athlete. She's a marathon runner, and she'll speak to that. I'm putting you on the spot, Janet, in advance. And was instrumental in keeping the Girls Who Run program alive while doing the TOSA work. And so she is currently at Columbia School, and it is my pleasure this evening to recommend Janet Castillo. Right behind her, Mr. Art Arias. He is our recommendation as well for assistant principal for the Jeff Seymour Family Center. Mr. Arias began in the district in 2001, having been a student in the district and just an active resident community member. Has come back to share his goodness, his heart, and his brain with all of us. He began in our alternative ed program, and this is back in the day where we had a program with multiple districts to provide an alternative ed program. and very quickly caught the attention of district administration and leaders. And so he was recruited to teach at Cherry Lee School, where he taught for many, many years. 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and many combos in between. In 2020, and I'm sure he'll explain to you when he began his administrative journey, but he was tapped on the shoulder to continue doing the work that he does, but to magnify it as an administrative school leader. And so he embarked on different he went on to go to teach at Durfee School in the 7th and 8th grade capacity, and then came back to Cherry Lee School, where he's been a teaching AP, he's been an administrator throughout the summer programs. And so we are excited about the work and the contributions that he can specifically add to the Jeff Seymour Opportunity Program, where we have some of our best at Promise students with lots of capacity and opportunities. And Mr. Arias has the heart, the experience to put it all together. So it is my pleasure this evening to recommend Janet Castillo and Art Arias as assistant principals.
Let's start with the motion. Do we have a motion for item 5?
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll
Motion
second.
second by Ms. Rivas. Okay. Now, are there any questions or discussion? Congratulations. So happy to have you part to continue your journey within Monte City School District in the capacity of a leader. All in favor? We're going to that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. I always jump the gun.
We have this wonderful tradition where we invite you to say a few words. And so, Janet, we'll begin with you, Ms. Castillo.
Oh man, I definitely was not. If you had asked me when I started my career, like it's like as a teacher, as an educator, if I would be an administrator, I would have been like, no. You know, I thought the classroom was it for me. I have a passion for the classroom. I loved my students every year. Like I was like, this is what I meant to do. I meant to be a teacher. And then little by little, people got to know me, and they're like, you should really consider being a coach. Like, it's like, you've been so helpful, like, to me, and to, like, you explain things so well, and you listen. And so I'm like, you know what, I'll give it a try. And then I became a coach, and I was like, this is what I meant to do. I'm meant to be a coach. And I was a coach for a long time. And then the same thing, they're like, have you thought about being an administrator? And I was like, oh man, I don't know. Like, it's like, that's a lot of responsibility. And I remember you're like, you have it. So a lot of it, I guess I rely on other people to tell me like what they see. And so I got into it, and I'm like, it felt natural. I was like, oh my God, I'm meant to do this. People will tell me, they're like, you're going to impact so many lives. And I see that now. And it all starts with, like, my mom used to tell me, Mija, you go to school, you listen and you learn. And, that's what I did. And I felt like that's all I've been doing, listening and learning. And I now see what people saw in me, where I'm like, people will come to you for guidance. They'll come to you to be their advocate. And I'm just excited to work with, our community. I'm excited to work with the kids that I see in my, I used to be, I see myself in our students. And I'm like, if I got to be this, in this position, I see it for them too. I run a lot. It's where I feel like I get my clarity. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm grateful. I'm excited to see, what the future holds. So just thank you very much.
Mr. Arias.
Like Janet just said, I see myself in those seats every day. I grew up in this district, in this city. I'm a product of this district. Dare I say, a success story of this district. Mm-hmm. And so I know the possibilities. And I know that every single day, getting emotional. Look at that. Every single day, there's work to be done. And our kids, even the ones that we have in alternative ed at our Promise Kids, are so capable of success. And I'm honored that I get the opportunity to help spark that again, not only in our student population, but the families too. And connecting with our whole community is the utmost importance to me. Building relationships is something I learned right at the beginning of working alternative ed because you had to. That was the missing piece. Without the trust, without being the list, which I didn't have words to it, but it spoke to me very much at our welcome back breakfast that it was it's the work I was meant to do. And now I'm honored and privileged to be a leader in this district. And I hope that the journey continues. I'm floored every day. Just thank you. This is amazing. Thank you very much.
Dr. Arias, can I ask you to please introduce your family? I think that makes your story a little extra special.
I was thinking that as I was walking back, going, oops. So a year transition for my family as I become, an assistant principal, and my wife, Diana, steps into my former role as a teaching assistant principal at Cherry Lee, and my daughter, Miranda, who is a brand new teacher in our district, day 3, So it is a wonderful time in the Arias family, and I will say this, that thank you, because you saw this in me long before I did, and I love you for it. Thank you.
Now you made us all get emotional. Thank you for that. Our next item is item number 6.
Yes, item 6, consideration of approval of administrative appointments for principal.
Thank you, President Mendez-Garcia. It is also my pleasure this evening to recommend Mr. Juan Flores as the principal at Columbia School. In 2008, Mr. Flores was a substitute for our district, and we were trying out different intervention models. And the idea is that we would bring in an intervention teacher to support kids that were meeting grade level standards, and that the teachers would regroup students that needed extra support. And very quickly, it was noted that Mr. Flores can pick up any lesson, and he became the intervention teacher within those small group instruction cycles. Teaching was very natural for him. Connecting with students was very natural for him, and he became a beloved staff member at Columbia School. And so when there was an opening in 2011, he became an 8th grade language arts teacher, where he also worked tirelessly with a strong team to really build expectations and create a lot of fun. And at the time, we were, it was during those CST days and goals were being met. And there was just a lot of dynamic leadership. And so it was obvious that Mr. Flores had a pathway in administration. In 2015, he became a teacher at Scherpzer School. He moved down to 3rd grade. So from 8th grade to 3rd grade, we can ask about that after the meeting. But I'm sure it was a wonderful transition. And while there, he also taught 6th grade. And so in 2020, he was appointed as the assistant principal at Frank Wright School. In 2022, he went back to Columbia School as the assistant principal. And this year, we are recommending him as the principal at Columbia School.
Is there a motion for item 6?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Cobian, second.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, now all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. And now I'm able to congratulate. Now you have to come up and talk. Yes.
So good morning, or good morning, good evening. I'm like, it's been a long day,
been
guys.
a long day,
Good evening, board members, Mr. Herrera, Dr. Pinedo, Mr. Sallenbach, and Dr. Garcia. So I feel very blessed to be here. My journey started way before 2008. I was a former student. I started here in kindergarten at Clemenson and then transitioned over to Rio Hondo. So my history with El Monte started many, many years ago. So I'm very grateful to be here to provide an opportunity. I know what our families are struggling and going through pre-COVID, post-COVID. My parents went through it. So a little bit about me. My parents have an elementary education. And so what they provided for me was just to come to school. They were the parents that went in the morning and did the sign of the cross and, los dio la bendición, and they wanted the best, and the best was here in El Monte. So I feel very blessed to be here and have the opportunity to open doors for other students, for the doors that were opened for me by this district. So I'm super grateful. I have these pinch me moments every morning. And again, not just when I'm an administrator, but when I was a teacher, to be in this position to help all our kids and our families and open doors. Thank you.
Okay, next item. Okay, we have item 7, consideration of approval of certificated personnel matters.
Thank you, President Mendez Garcia. This is normally a routine consent and action item, but due to the fact that we needed to approve our administrative appointments before we actually gave them a salary placement, we had to place it after. So, so for your consideration is our monthly certificated or routine item.
Okay, do you have a motion for item 7?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. All right, that finishes our actions items. And then once again, because it's official now, congratulations. We're so lucky to have you. And then just to hear the commitment and the love in your voice just makes all of us in this room elevate. That's because I keep saying it, just elevated us and empowered us. Thank you. All right, we're going to be moving on to our exciting discussion session, starting with our board self-evaluation.
Yeah, so President Mendez Garcia, I did, there you go. That is a summary of the board evaluation. And so we will distribute that so we can take a look at it.
I was going to give us you time to review it. So I know we needed to reschedule our board retreat, which we were planning in August, and that's our opportunity to complete our board self reflection. And then also we were planning on looking at our strategic plan and our routine items. And so knowing that we're going to have to reschedule, I still wanted to give the board an opportunity to do our board self-reflection. This is something that's been very helpful for us to kind of reflect on how we're doing as a board with our governance. And this is something that's always been, very proud of, to brag an area of strength for us, but it's still always good, especially with our new board member, Ms. Flores, for her to also have the opportunity to see that there is a board self-reflection that we complete annually. Okay, so I'll just give everyone maybe another minute or two to kind of go over it, and then
So just to clarify, are we going to have a discussion when we meet again, or is this the only time we're discussing this?
the plan is to discuss it here.
Okay.
So thank you for that question. Would everyone like for me to kind of just go through it? It's a one-page summary. I can go through it, and then through there we can kind of discuss it as I go item. Well, it's not item, but it's section through section.
Yeah, I mean, I think we.
Yeah, I'm gonna start it. So starting with, and remind me, is this from CSBA, the self-reflection, or?
No, it's not. This is something. This is a reflection that Trudy Arriaga, Dr. Arriaga, shared with the board several years ago.
Okay.
And so we brought her in a few times to conduct the self-evaluation. So these were her questions, and I think what she did, if I'm not mistaken, is she pulled from CSBA, from different sources.
Okay.
And the idea is that this would be, this is the bulk of governance work, and it would give the board some clear direction by answering these questions on areas that they wanted to work on.
Perfect. Yeah, so starting with effective governance, overall, the majority was often to almost always. Under roles and responsibilities, it was another overall often to almost always. However, I did note that on one of the items, the board gives direction to the superintendent collectively only at board meetings. There was just a response where 40% was often, and I forgot to leave off 60% was almost always. So just one item where, like I said, if it was just maybe only 20% of an often, I didn't list it, but if I saw that it was 40%, which meant two or more board members rated as often, that I indicated as an item to look at. Next one, setting direction, you can right away see that's something that we all kind of collectively see. Yes, it is often to almost always, but there was definitely a lot more items where two or more board members felt like, this is something that's often, which is kind of an indicator, we always want to strive for almost always. So maybe definitely that's something that we can focus on. So for setting direction, there was the item on the board provides opportunity for community input. We said 40% often, 60% almost always. The board adopts long-range priorities, 20% less often, 20% often, 60% almost always. The board uses the vision and mission to drive decisions. You saw 40% often, 60 almost always. The board adopts measurable indicators to assess district performance, 40% often and 60% almost always. And I wasn't surprised by this, and I'm going to open this up for discussion because our next step is that we're going to be reviewing our strategic plan with the facilitator, right?
If I can just add to that, I think absolutely, and a strategic plan is something that's recommended every 3 to 5 years. Optimal would be 5 years, with the idea that we do create that long-term plan, and then gives the district staff the opportunity to create those goals aligned with the strategic plan. So we're excited for that work that lies ahead, and I think that is going to be just a key component in allowing the board to set the direction for the next 5 years.
Something I would just say too, I think with this one, when I'm kind of remembering some of the questions, I think, and we might have talked about this before, but maybe being more explicit in our agenda, or when we're talking about items, to directly connect them to those items in the strategic plan, or whatever the specific goal is, and I don't think it has to be any extra detailed, but just something so that we can say, yes, we're doing this because it's meeting this goal, and then the community can see that as well. So that's
just from an organizational standpoint, it's a function within board docs to list the strategic plan and tie board items to those goals. As our current strategic plan is gotten us to this point, and we're going to elevate the work by with this next iteration. But the strategic plan that stands in place right now is lofty, right, and encompasses just a lot, and we're meeting those needs, but we want to get down to specifics. And so that's the opportunity that the board has ahead to really think about, where we want to be in 5 years, create goals, and then tie them to board action items.
Any other questions or comments about?
Only I think we're looking pretty good in most areas. The fact there's never less, it's always often or most often, and I think it says a lot, because we have a collegiality here that I think is rare in most boards that I'm aware of.
No,
I would agree.
Definitely. And again, it wasn't a surprise because that's something that we wanted to do, is re-looking at a strategic plan, right? And even for our structure, the item that did get noted for 20% less often, 20% is going back to, is our collective bargaining process linking back to our vision and our goals, right? And then next, for support and board culture, often to almost always.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything significant there to note. For board operation, often to almost always, just the only one that was noted was that board members follow agreements and how to bring up new ideas. So, we can always, one thing I know we had last year and we can always bring back is having our board governance binder here with us. So if any of us need to kind of go back to look at, what our governance agreements are when it comes to bringing up new items or attending community events or asking about attending a school visit, we can always refer to our board agenda, our governance handbook. Board meetings, often to almost always. The only item that stood out was there is a good relationship with how the board spends on an agenda, how long the board spends on an agenda item and the importance of the item, 40% often, 60% almost always. Does anyone have any comment on that?
I just that I remember us talking about that in the past. And I think it relates to the long-range priorities and the strategic plan, right? If we're really focused on those goals and we have them in front of us, then hopefully that limits discussion on some of the other items that aren't quite as focused in on those goals. And that we spend more of our time. That was something that many consultants have told us, right? That our time is spent really working towards those goals and not on pet projects.
Good point. And then next, under board development, often to almost always, and equity, often to almost always. So very proud of the collaboration that we have as a board and the trust that we have in one another. And this will provide that platform we need and that foundation when we start looking at our strategic plan with the consultant, right? Our facilitator.
And if I can just echo Mr. Segrist's comments, I often refer to this board as just a wonderful board to work with. You've just been, pillars for students, our school community, and you set the tone for the collegiality and the professionalism that happens across the district. So when we talk about morale and we talk about caring, we talk about really being there for our school community. This board has set that tone for many, many, many years and has been very consistent in the way you all come to your decisions and the way you collaborate on the dais. So I just want to applaud you for how you do this work and for your commitment to our students and to our school community and to each other.
Thank you.
One last thing. With the free response questions, I would be curious to see if there were any themes or anything that you saw, maybe at our board retreat. We can.
Nothing stood out specifically that maybe hasn't been brought up before. But if not, I'll definitely relook at them and then bring them back to the board retreat. But nothing that really stood out in particular that hasn't been brought up. But I'll relook at them again.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. And then in terms, are we still wanting to keep when we reschedule like a Monday meeting?
Yes, if I can just ask for some flexibility, I'm hesitant to schedule a meeting that we're not able to commit to, and so I will be working to make sure that we can bring back some dates to the board so that we can commit, and ideally to work on a calendar for the strategic plan rather than just creating, one-off meeting, but really like the entire plan to adopt those meeting dates.
And what other items? It's our governance calendar.
Our governance calendar, we always take a look at our resolutions. There's an opportunity that I'd like to share with the board to create some school visits, and so I'd like to talk about what that can look like. Just a few of those types of items so that we make sure that, we're back.
Perfect, thank you. All right. So moving on, just for item 2, are there any future discussion items board members would like to bring up at this time for us to consider for a future board meeting or for the board retreat? Okay, well then that concludes today's board meeting at 7:44 p.m.